Welcome back to day 29 of Proverbs 29. In this chapter, there are some really humorous lines. There's specifically a section about arguing with a fool, and we're going to talk just a little bit about that. In verse 11, it says, "You can recognize fools by the way they give full vent to their rage and let their words fly. But the wise bite their tongues and hold back all they could say." There is a lot in Proverbs about words and being in control of our tongues and using our words wisely. This is one example of that. Verse 18 says, sorry, not verse 18. Oh, yes, it is. I'll skip all of that. Verse 18 in the NIV says, "Where there is no revelation, aka the Holy Spirit, the people cast off restraint, but blessed is he who keeps the law." So we're learning about our words that we need Holy Spirit revelation to know how to control our mouths, okay? In verse 20, it says, "There's only one kind of person who is worse than a fool." That's pretty bad to be worse than a fool. "The impetuous one who speaks without thinking first." Verse 22, "The source of strife is found in an angry heart, for sin surrounds the life of a furious man." So what we see here is there's anger and running your mouth are actually making you look worse than a fool. But we need the Holy Spirit to temper our tongues. This can be difficult. I will not make this out to be some easy thing. It is difficult to temper your tongue in the midst of a situation. It is hard to not give full vent to your rage, as it says in verse 11. There are times when you're in a frustrating situation and this person thinks they know what they're talking about. And if they would just listen to me, I would tell them everything I thought about this. But that's not a life led by the Holy Spirit, because we need to not be the impetuous one who speaks without thinking first. It also talks about humility. And in verse 23, which also ties into our tongue, if you haven't caught on to that. Verse 23, "Lift yourself up with pride and you will soon be brought low. But a meek and humble spirit will add to your honor." When we run our mouths and we throw our opinions out all the time and we're letting our anger that's in our heart out at every possible chance and we're not being controlled by the Holy Spirit, that comes from a spirit of pride where we think that our opinion matters more than someone else's, or that our words are more important, or if they would just listen to me, then their life would be a whole lot easier. Right? But that comes from a spirit of pride. And it says, if you lift yourself up with pride, you will soon be brought low. Previously in Proverbs, it says this pride is coming before a fall. In the end of this chapter, it brings us back to this reminder, though, right? So we're talking about controlling our tongue, responding with the Holy Spirit instead of reacting through our flesh, and making sure that we have a heart of humility versus a heart of pride. But it takes us back to the beginning of Proverbs, where we learned how to have this wisdom, where we learned how to operate with the Holy Spirit, that Holy Spirit wisdom in every single moment. Verse 25, "Fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Many seek an audience with a ruler, but it is from the Lord that man gets justice." In the Passion, "Fear and intimidation is a trap that holds you back. But when you place your confidence in the Lord, rather than yourself, rather than what other people think of you, rather than how important your thoughts are, when you place your confidence in the Lord, you will be seated in high place. Everyone curries favor with leaders, but God is the judge and justice comes from him." I want to encourage you. We only need an audience with one person. Being important and having favor in the earth might feel good, and titles and all of these things, it might feel good, right? That pride in the moment feels great, but it will prove to be a snare, it says. It will prove to not hold up. That pride will come before a fall. Whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. I only want an audience with one person, and that is Jesus. And that fear of the Lord, that is the beginning of wisdom, that seeking him, that is the foundation of living a life where we are kept safe, where we are blessed, where we get all of the benefits and blessings that we can see in the book of Proverbs.